Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and this is very much another video on the Marui P320. So there's probably people going to ask me, so this is actually like a Deadly Customs holster. I had them build me one of these. This is their signature series, which is designed to run off of the Surefire style lights. And basically why I've bought this is because I have so many pistols now. I needed a holster that was, I could just throw this torch on anything and we've got a holster for it, because, you know, I'm very much a bit of a gear aficionado. So, you know, all my Glocks I run in Safariland holsters, and when they're running at like £200 a time, it gets expensive. So this is a much cheaper option. So that's what I've been using. I've had to pick up a copy Surefire. So this is a SOTAC one, because with my real Surefires, they're so tight in this thing, you probably won't be able to see it, but they're scoring the plastic on the holster. So I was having a bit of trouble, couldn't get it to fit properly. Picked up a SOTAC one. I could just pick this up off eBay. There's a guy on there that's selling them, and for the most part, it works pretty damn good. And now it will sit in nice and easy. I did have to heat up this holster, so where they did the fold, it was basically, this was pinched much closer together and it was like off to one side. So I just heated this up ever so slightly just to relieve that sharp fold in the holster, basically just to stop it you know, clinging to the slide. So you'll see if we look in there, it kind of cants to one side. And the last thing I wanted was this holster. As you can see, it's already scoring lines on the slide here. I didn't want it to damage it all that much. So anyway, holster out of the way. What we're doing today, we're taking a look at the the Marui P320. I'd planned to take this to a game weekend just gone. I was going to go on Sunday. I got the KS1 ready, I got this ready, and I was going to do some gameplay. But I woke up Sunday morning and I just felt awful. I think it was just exhaustion. So ended up not going. But many have been asking. There's not many people out there doing content on this pistol in terms of a deep dive, so that's what we're going to be doing today. So it's a very nice pistol. It shoots very well. We've yet to take it to the range, so that will be coming, don't worry. But you guys have been saying, well, I want to see more about the inside, so we're going to do that today. It's very simple. I covered it briefly in the main review video that I do on these things. We lock the slide to the rear. We pull this all the way around. We drop the slide comes off. And YouTube, I'm not modifying this in any way. I'm just showing people how to disassemble and maintain their Marui P320. So we just swivel this pin out and put that to one side. Once that's out, what we can actually do is we just grip the rails of the FCU. That's fire control group to you and me. And we basically pull that out, and your lower, apart from the mag release, is pretty much stripped out. Now, I'm told you can flip these round. I'm a right-handed shooter, so I have no plans to do so. I imagine it's very simple to do if it can be done. Again, I'm not too sure, and I don't really want to mess with it because I'm a right-handed shooter. I don't want to balk it up or anything like that. But again, to be confirmed on the mag release. The fire control group is very simple indeed for your maintenance, because it comes out like this. You can take your cleaning cloth, you know, you can wipe off your dirt or, you know, old grease or anything like that. Just be careful you don't ping the springs anywhere. And really, unless you have an issue, there's no real reason to be stripping this down. So it's very easy to get to. The hammer is quite strange on this model. So you can see here, so the blowback unit would grip this. It can move up slightly. So it's a little bit spring-loaded, and then basically it grips that, cocks it back, and the hammer is just a very unique design compared to what we're used to with Marui pistols. We've of course got all these levers and stuff that will help, you know, trip the what am I talking about? The valve knocker, stuff like that. So really, for maintenance purposes, you just be pulling this out, you just be cleaning it off, making sure there's no debris in there, it's not dirty, and then just reapplying some grease, which we'll do when we get back to it. But most of you have been asking about the slide, so we're going to take a look at this. Very easy to pop the spring guide out. We then pull the barrel assembly forward, and retrieve the outer, inner barrel and hop. I am guessing with this one, it's just the usual, you know, pop this out like that. Yes, it is. So it'll be locked into place. Let me just put this back in. And you've got this little tab here on this one side. And all you're going to do is you'll pull it back like this, take your finger, just push that out ever so slightly, and we can extract the barrel, the hop, and the outer barrel is of course removed as well. So I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of companies like Garda and other companies that will do metal out of barrels. They'll probably do slide kits as well, and this is very much like the MOS, the 17 MOS, where they're using this new style of plastic, and it's very, very sturdy. But to answer the main question, which you guys wanted to know, is how do we get this thing out? And that's what we're going to look at today. So I'm guessing we just removed the frame rails. We've got 2 screws down in the back compartment there. So I imagine, do we pull that out first? Again, not too sure, but we're going to find out. So let's get straight to it. We need a small Phillips screwdriver. So we're going to take a look at the set here. We're going to try and pick one. You don't want to go too small. This is a PH0, so we'll test this one. PH0, are you the one we want? No, because it does get stuck. So we're going to go down in size. See what we've got next. I believe it's this one, which is a PH00. And that one fits just fine. So we can pull the rearward screw and the frontward screw. And one thing you just want to note when you're taking like these metal frame rails out of these plastic slidey pistols is just be careful that you don't over tighten them when you put them back in. I imagine that's where a lot of people have issues with cracking the slides and such. So the screws are removed. I believe that's all we need to do, and then we should, ouch, be able to extract it. So the front's coming up, the back might be locked in, so we might not actually have to remove that one, but it does look like, in fact I think we do, maybe it all comes out in one piece. We're going to find out. So rearward screw on the other rail, just pull that out. These are very, very tiny screws, so just make sure you're using the correct tool for the job so you don't damage the heads on these. Again, dead simple. We pull these out, make sure you don't lose them. Will this one slide out? Sometimes with these Marui slides you have to like expand the slide a little bit to be able to push these bits out, which may be the case, may not be the case, I'm not too sure yet. So the fronts look like they unlock, the backs look like they might have to come out with the blowback unit, so it doesn't seem, unless we need to pull the slide apart slightly to get this out. We'll get to it. Right, we've got 2 screws again down in here. Can we reach those? Yes, we can, just about. So we've got one there, and we got one. That one's actually getting the screwdriver stuck. So we might have to switch out to a, oh no, we've got it. You know, using these indexable bits is great, but you might have to move to something like this. This is a PH00 as well, but it's got like a thinner shank on the screwdriver, which will enable you to get into the tighter spaces. Having a good quality screwdriver set is worth its weight in gold. So how do we pull this out? Let's see. It looks like we do have to, you know, slightly pull these. It looks like there's bits of plastic that stick out that indexes this stuff. So what we can try is we can try just putting a very thin screwdriver down here and seeing if we can just relieve the rail to a point where we can pull it out. So the fronts are loose. Looking at the way it stops, I think it basically grips behind the blowback unit. So usually what we can do in these situations, there goes one of the screws, is you can just slightly pull like this. Sometimes it's enough. Sometimes. So we're going to have to try and split the slide apart a little bit. So you can see the tabs in there, the plastic tabs. So you don't want to be breaking your brand new pistol, so you need to be very careful. I can feel it wanting to come out. So we just try and be very delicate here. Some Marui pistols are a little bit more sticky, shall we say, than others. We just want to get it started. So it is a strong plastic, I tell you that. Get them started. That one actually indexes into the slide there. Is there an easier way to do this? Oh, we've got a button at the back here actually. Aha! So that's spring loaded. So maybe we have to push that to get it out, which is going to be some incredible finger gymnastics here, unless we're learning as we go. We push that, yeah, there we go. So you push that in and that will release this plastic piece at the back. Cool. So we've extracted the button. We've got a spring in there as well that we'll try and take out so it doesn't get damaged. There we go. So back piece, spring, little button there. Is that going to make our job a little bit easier? We'll try and extract this other screw here. There we go. So the two longer screws, whether that other one just went. Where did it go? It was there a second ago. It's probably hiding, there it is. Hiding the sticker. Okay, so now, does that make our job easier? I'm guessing it should. We can't extract the iron sight. That looks like it slides out left to right or right to left. So can we now release the slide? It looks like it is moving. Need to be careful that we don't lose everything when it comes out. I am being extra careful because I don't want to damage anything. There we go, here it comes. So it looks like you have to extract it all in one like that, so you'll see it starts to lever up there. And we can pull these rails. Here we go. So we don't have to split the slide. That is interesting. So we don't have to pull this or part it away like previous guns in their GBB pistol range. So then we've got the nozzle spring, which is a usual nozzle spring, unlike the Gen 5. We've got a usual round cup, again, makes it super simple, and a normal nozzle design. So there you have it. That's how easy it is. You could pull this out, you could do your maintenance, you know, take your, just checking I've got the right compounds here. Which one's the grease? That one's the grease. Now you take your oil, you can oil your piston cup up there, dead simple, slide that back in. Tokyo Marui factory grease is actually pretty good. I've never had an issue with it. So putting this back in, you obviously have your assembled blowback unit like that, and you've got these frame rails. So the longer one goes on that side, so you can see where this index is in. So you can't pull just the blowback unit out, you have to pull the frame rails out as well, and it all locks into place like that. So we take both these frame rails, am I doing that correctly? Yeah, so you line those up like that. You need to be very careful here that you don't balk your spring up. So you're basically going to take that whole assembly, and I always suggest putting it in like that, because then the spring's going to stay where it needs to stay. And then we push everything back into place. So you've got a hell of a lot of reinforcement with all this metal on the inside. That'll get situated back into place. And there you go, simple as that. So now we would take our two longer screws that we've got, and these go through the blowback unit into the iron sight. They go into the iron sight quite deep. Again, when you're doing Marui pistols, just be careful you're not over tightening the screws, because one, you're screwing into plastic, and two, you don't want to create a fracture or a torn out thread. So that goes in there like that. You can take these tiny little screws now, and we can put them back in on the frame rails, and we just spin these in here. I'm using the PH00 still. What I like about this kinetic driver is I'm very limited on how much torque I can apply with this knurled section. You know, usually when using this driver, if you want to put massive amounts of torque on, so your fingers will eventually slip a little. If you grip it by the brass part, you can put more torque on, but we're not going to do that because we want to be careful in not damaging the threaded hole. Screw this in here, again, not going over bore. Final tiny screw, and you just need to be careful when you're taking this apart. Do it in an area where you're not going to lose these screws, because if these screws were to fall into the pile of your carpet, it's magnet or metal detector time. So we'll whack this back in quickly. I'll try not to make this a super long video. So that's all back in. We take our spring, we can pop that back into this rear section, and what we're going to do is going to use a screwdriver to align it. Screwdriver is bloody magnetic, isn't it? So we'll switch over to these ceramic tweezers just to make sure it doesn't pull it out of place like that. You can take this little button. I believe you can only put it in one way, with the flat edge on the outside of the slide. So we'll test that now. Yeah, that's correct. And then basically pushing that down, we can apply this rear blocking again. I'm not actually sure if this is, I think that is metal actually, it's not plastic, it is metal, it's like a cast metal. So I was incorrect saying that was plastic, apologies. And then what we're going to need to do is push it down far enough for this to go in. So I'm just using a little bit like that, push this in and it'll click into place like that. We're good to go. With the inner barrel, it's going to be pretty damn straightforward. We can align the hop so we clear the space for the screw. Now for this one, we're going to use a slightly bigger driver bit. This is a PH1. Again, because we don't want to damage the screws or slip. Screw at the back. If you're ever unsure if there's any like microscopic differences or slight changes in thread length, when you're pulling them out, just orientate them in a way. So I know that one's the rear one, I know that's the front one. Now they're probably the same size, but I always just do it in a way where I know. So you've got a split design here. We can open that up. We're keeping, because we haven't taken this apart, this section apart here, this arm can come out, but we don't need it to come out. So there you can take your hop. You can wipe off a bit of that excess factory grease there. Make sure it's not getting inside the hop. But the hop is just a normal Marui mound. You can put your barrel in. Now this barrel does have a step down edge on the front. Why that is, I'm not sure. I imagine it's to do with the way it sits here. So it sits in the outer barrel. So if you're fitting a barrel of this length, you need to be careful because this barrel changes dimension. So you might have to find a machinist just to turn your barrel down ever so slightly, or just wait till Lilacs, 9-ball, or whoever has done a barrel for it. Or, you know, you might not even need to do that. You know, a hot rubber change. Marui makes pretty good barrels, to be honest, for out-the-box stuff. And we're just fitting that back together. We take our screws. And what I tend to do is I'll loosely put that in. I won't torque it down. Loosely put the rear one in. And just go most of the way, but then stop. Because what you want to do is just make sure, I tend to just pinch the hop units and just give the barrel a little wiggle, make sure it's seated properly, and then we can go the rest of the way on the screws like that. Dead simple. Putting this back into the outer barrel again is easy. We just slide it in. So we're just going to line, we're lining that section up underneath this little nub section of the hop unit there. Push that in. The other piece I was just like holding a bit of pressure on like that, but this has an angled edge on it, so you see here. So as long as you line that up, you can just push it forward and it will line properly. So I'm gonna put that back to where it was, which was about there. Spring guide, unless there's like it's full of dirt or anything like that, there's really not much to do with this. It's a fairly simple design. You've got like a rubber buffer at the back here with just a single stage spring. I imagine that is the part that's different at the top there. So you would use the flat edges on this to turn it out, but honestly, I just leave it alone. So we've got these little nubbing bits on the outer barrel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch away from the oil. We're going to go back to the grease, or go to the grease, and we're just going to put a little bit of grease on these tabs where they're going to be sliding up and down inside the slide here. So we just let that in, push it back, let everything drop down into place. You'll know because it grips the nozzle. Now, if the hop unit is sitting high, like it can do, so like when this all gets actuated, let me try and replicate this here. See how the hop unit's sitting high? You're just going to push it forward till it sits nice and low, push it back, make sure it's in place. Take your spring guide, pop that back in the front. It's dead simple, easy pistol to work on. And then if you wanted to, you can take your grease and just, I didn't clean any of this grease off, but you can just put a film of grease on the inside of the rails there. The easiest place to do this, of course, is with the fire control group. Even easier now that it's outside the grip, so we can just, where we remove the grease, we can just put a little bit on the outsides here. We could put a little bit in the rails to make sure it's nice and smooth. Doesn't take a lot at all. You don't need to load these up with grease, because all that's going to happen, it's going to end up on the outside of your pistol when it pushes it out with a slide. So we take the group, the fire control group, and what you want to do first with this is you want to link, like swing the trigger in. So you see I'm swinging the trigger in first, so it's underneath it, and then we let the back drop in like that, and then you push the front down, and it is as simple as that. You take this pin, you've got a beveled edge on the one side, you've got a piece here where that will interact with that beveled edge, you see. See how it's spring loaded? So it just enables you to push this pin in really easy. Just give it a quick turn if it gets stuck, and then you want it locked down in the bottom position here. Take your slide, whack that back on, lock the slide, push your tab forward, and then because I've got greasy hands, what we're going to do, I'm just going to take a rag, probably better with the slide closed here, and we're just going to wipe round where there's any excess grease, and then give the slide a couple of racks. The slides on these are super smooth, much like the 17 MOS. Slide functions, there's nothing binding it up. The slide release works, trigger, check the reset, very good trigger, and then we can actually just give it a dry fire to test it with, test all your mags. Very, can't wait to use this pistol. It looks like it's going to be an absolute baller. We dropped this SOTAC light on. I've got the P wedge on there for the Picatinny style rail. Whack it in our holster, and away we go. There is your guide to taking that pistol apart. I haven't took the fire control group apart because honestly I don't really see a point unless there's an issue. If you guys want it in future, I will of course delve into that, but for now we're going to leave it there because it's a long video. So if you have stuck around, thank you very much. Let me know in the comments below, and any more guides like this that you want, just let me know and I'll do my best to get to them. Lots of products being updated on the website very soon, so keep an eye out for that. But from me and Bench, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.